everybody, and welcome to TLC Live today at the studio. Again, my friend Bobby.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Bobby,
Thanks.
good morning.
Good
And
morning.
Orlando Sanchez from Montana still. Orlando.
When are you
I
coming
feel
back?
like I feel like at the opening of the show, we ought to take my name off and put Bobby in because he's been filling in so much. But thanks
I
again, Bobby.
know, but I heard that you're coming back next week, so good news.
Yep, I'll be there.
Yeah, or we can switch position. I can just go to Montana.
You know what?
Yeah, I
We
can
can
just
go to
hang out there.
Montana, do it from Montana, and Orlando can be here.
That's right. Yeah,
That'll be
we'll go
that'll be good.
remote
Yeah,
and
you know what? Yeah, that's a good idea. We switch.
Right.
So Orlando, good morning. Give us an update. What is going on TLC and Montana?
Well, we're not going to talk about Montana for God's sake. There's,
Well, but
you
you've
know,
been doing a lot of things in
Montana,
Montana. You met
Montana
people
is
in
a good.
Montana and good connections, and also working for Texas Latino Conservatives from there.
Well, we've been busy. We have a busy fall schedule, as we all know. The elections are coming up. We have been doing a lot of interviews based on the results of our poll, which indicate that if things go well and if our team, the conservatives, execute in Texas, I think we're going to have a banner year. The poll indicates that Hispanics are pretty much fed up with the promises of the Democrats and what the Democrats have to offer, and that is, that it's the party of handouts. It's the party that takes the community for granted. And so Hispanics are coming over to the conservative side. The other thing that we've just produced several commercials, which are going to be airing in the next couple of weeks, which are really, really good, Andrea. You were part of making that happen. They'll be bilingual, Spanish and English. And so we're going to just ramp up for our block walking, our mailing program, our digital advertising, our mail outs that we do every year supporting the candidates that we've endorsed. So, again, we think we're going to have a very good year in Texas. I think we're going to have a good year nationally, but our PAC is a general purpose PAC, so we're focused on the state of Texas. And I think good things are going to happen. I think people are going to be surprised.
Yes, definitely. And so, saying that, I want to introduce our guest. You we've been supporting a lot in South Texas, and Eagle Pass is being all over the news lately because of the border crisis. So we have a candidate right there in Maverick County. He is from Eagle Pass, but he's running for Maverick County Judge, and his name is Armando Rosales. And welcome, Armando. Thanks for your time, and thanks for. I was reading your bio, very interesting bio, and we were like reading with Bobby. And I was
that's
like,
right.
wow, you're being accomplished a lot, and now running for office, and we are so proud of you. And thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for taking the time to be here in TLC Live. Good morning, Armando.
Good morning. Good morning, Andrea. I want to thank you for having me in you guys' program. I greatly appreciate it. I want to take the time to thank you guys.
I guess we don't hear you.
Oh, we lost his audio.
We lost your audio, Armando. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
I can
okay.
hear
There, you're
you.
back.
Okay, you're back.
Okay, no, I said thank you, Andrea, and thank you guys for having me. It's both a pleasure and an honor to be with you guys. I'm very eager and excited. Can you
Good.
guys hear
Uh,
me?
Hey, a lot of good things are happening down in Maverick County. First of all, let's say that in 2022, we had a tremendous shift where a lot of the voters in Maverick County were voting for the conservative candidates. And, this year, for the first time, I think we have eight Republicans running on the ticket for various positions, including yours, Armando, which is county judge, but I think we have the district clerk and several others. What do you think? What do you think is inspiring our friends down in Eagle Pass in the Maverick County area to launch their candidacies as conservative Republicans? Why is that happening?
Well, right now, I'm going to be real honest with you. One of the major factors is that we're having a border crisis right now, since it is a border town, and a lot of people are already fed up of the lies that the Democrats are continuously for many years have told the population, the citizens. So a lot of people are actually opening their eyes. We are trying very hard to turn Maverick County red. You know, it's been blue for many years, and it's a good time now to try and make it. People are already tired. People are already opening their eyes. There's a lot of crime rate. The border crisis is pretty bad, and people want to change.
Armando,
And do you?
I want you share with our viewers your background. How did you start it, and why? I mean, what everything that you've been accomplished to get to the position to now to run for office, and why you're doing it.
Okay, well, to start off, I am a Texas peace officer. I'm a police officer, so on a day-to-day basis, I'm very familiar with what we're having right now. I became a police officer back in 2012. In 2006, I also became an emergency medical technician. I've been working in the ambulance. I've been working as a public servant for roughly about 15 years. I'm a notary. I do a little bit of everything. As a matter of fact, I have a hat of all trades, if you can call that. Um, why I decided to run? I decided to run because I decided that somebody needs to step up and challenge There's a lot of political corruption. There's a lot of political, a lot of connections that are I've heard, this is what I've heard, this is what they've been telling me, my voters, because I've been starting doing my block walking, hitting the small businesses, supporting small businesses. We have a lot of great support. Our constituents our citizens are telling us, hey, we gotta stand up, we gotta fight for our values, our morals, our principles, our consecutive conservative principles. They've been advising me, they've been telling me that there's a lot of corruption, that they thanked me to put my name on the line and represent them because they're so tired of all the corruption. There's just too much corruption. The corruption here in Eagle Pass, since it is a border town, it is very very deep. The citizens have told me that they're buying votes, and this is coming from the citizens as I'm doing my block walking.
Yeah, that's really
Armando, I'm
interesting.
interested.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick, Armando, I'm interested to know what do you mean they're buying the votes? Explain to the viewers how that
Mhm.
happens down in South Texas.
Well, the generic population, the people who are older, they says, "Hey, I know you're struggling with. I know what you're struggling with just making ends meet. I'll buy you, a set of groceries. I'll buy you this and that, but go vote for me." That's coming from from the older generation, even from other young people as well. They say we'll give you $25 and I need you to go vote for me. So that's how they're doing it. And a lot of people don't say anything because since this is a border town and there is a stronghold of politicians, they're fearful for their job security. There's so many reasons why people want so drastic change.
Yeah, man, the corruption along the border is just it's just unreal. And what I find interesting, Armando, is you jumped in and you're talking about the corruption. You've had this career that is just fascinating. We were talking about it before we went on the air. EMT, peace officer, went back to school. So what changed? Because some people would be happy with that, just serving the public that way. So what is it that said, okay, I want to go from a peace officer or EMS to the public arena to actually running? What was it that pushed you to that point?
Okay, well, currently, right now, I work for Border Patrol, Customs and Border Patrol. I'm not an agent. I do medical screenings for Border Patrol, so I live firsthand what all these people are leaving for. I can identify with them because I do the job. I do the job on a daily basis. My hours run from 12-hour shifts to 16-hour shifts. So my main focus, I can feel, I can identify, and they can identify with me because I live this on a daily basis, both as a police officer, both working with Customs and Border Patrol, not as an agent, but as a medical individual who does screenings for all the illegal immigrants that are coming in.
Armando, one of the things that I try to tell people all the time, because I'm always asked, why are Hispanics in South Texas moving away from the Democratic Party? And I try to explain to them the situation. Armando. I'm your neighbor. I'm a property taxpayer in Kinney County, which is Bracketville, up the road from Eagle Pass. But people don't understand this. Our small communities like Del Rio, Bracketville, Eagle Pass, we have a limited amount of EMS. And when the cartels are paying a 16-year-old to run some illegals on Highway 90, for example, at 100 miles an hour and the car rolls over, guess what? All of our ambulances are gone to that scene. And
That's correct.
Armando, there's no level one trauma center in our area. So they have to run everybody to San Antonio. And so that means we're left without EMS and ambulances, correct? Explain to that
That
as
is
an EMS EMT in the area.
Well, that creates a big burden because of the response to the crisis that we do have. When a U.S. citizen that is in dire need, let's per se, I'm going to give you an example. Somebody has a cardiac arrest, a stroke. Hey, well, the delay is going to be a delay because we don't have the resources, the amount of resources that are necessary to comply with our to give service to our U.S. citizens because we're we're stuck providing service for immigrants per se.
Yeah,
And so
and not that we don't, as a country, want to provide services to immigrants. You know, an injured human being needs to be attended, but the problem is that this crisis is created by this current administration, by the Democrats in office, who don't respect the people along the border who are struggling for resources, and their taxes are going up, their schools are overcrowded. What few hospital facilities they have, you have to stand in line behind undocumented aliens being brought in by CBP. And then with respect to EMS or the EMTs, when there's a rollover or a major accident on the highway, they're gone. And so, you know, here you have Armando, who's an EMT and doing a lot of law enforcement work. He's telling you exactly what it's like on the ground. Uh, our resources in South Texas are either stretched so thin or non-existent. And people don't understand that our folks in South Texas are tired of being stepped on by the administration, by open borders, by cartels, by human smugglers. We've had enough.
amen to that. That was that was powerful.
Amen.
Way to that, yeah, that was great,
Amen.
Orlando. And
Amen.
Armando, what is it that so now you're a candidate, you know, you're running for county judge. What is it that in your platform to help people of that community that you can do as a county judge that didn't fit that role as a peace officer or as a EMT? What can you look to serve your community as the next county judge?
Okay, well, I'm looking to work with state and federal agencies to ask for grants. Eagle Pass is in dire need of infrastructure. Eagle Pass is in dire need of fixing roads. There's people in Quemado who don't have water or adequate water. I mean, there's just so many complaints that the constituents or that our residents have that we need to find resolutions. And unfortunately, because of the administration that there has been for so many years, the Democratic administration, there hasn't been enough funds to serve our community, and our community is in dire need of just basic living necessities.
Armando, tell us what is going to be the issues that you're going to concentrate the most in case that you win in November.
Okay, one of the main issues that we have right now is our property taxes. Our property taxes, as I, as an individual who works on a daily basis, who pays, taxes, can identify along with, with our citizens as well. It's an outcry. It's outrageous of how much property taxes we pay.
Yeah, and you know, part of that I mentioned that earlier. We it's not as if Valverde County and Starr County and Maverick County and Kinney County and Uvalde County are, you know, rich counties with the, you know, like in Houston and Harris County we have the petrochemical industry and a lot of commercial buildings. The burden the burden of paying taxes and supporting the sheriffs and the EMS and the school and the infrastructure that Armando's talking about falls on homeowners because there really isn't major industry down in South Texas. So as the wave of undocumented aliens continues to come in, and as the federal government sits there with their arms crossed in the White House watching this debacle on the southern border and send absolutely no resources to our southern counties, the burden falls on the property taxpayers of South Texas. And that's exactly what I've been saying, that we cannot continue in Texas to sustain the burden. You know, what's funny, Armando, is that Greg Abbott has sent a few thousand illegal aliens on buses to New York and Washington, D.C., just a few thousand that actually wanted to go, right? And the mayors of Washington, D.C. and New York are squealing like pigs going to the slaughterhouse because, oh my God, you're sending us these undocumented aliens. I mean, we only sent them 3,000, right? Here we got 250,000 on a monthly basis, and they expect us to pay the taxes, you know, and support this population. And it's just, they don't get it. It's not fair. And it's time that this administration, the whole gang in Washington, D.C., go away.
And it's not just the illegal aliens or the immigration; it's the human smuggling, the sexual exploitation, the children that are coming in. It's just the Democrats call it humanitarian efforts. That's no humanitarian efforts. They don't. They're not here on a day-to-day basis and saying this is what we're going through. It's the drug cartels are the ones that are exploiting. The drug cartels are making the money. We are not, and it's not about the money. It's about saving a life. Is it they don't care who they place or what they do as long as they get the money. It's money making business, prostitution. They said slavery was abolished. That right now with this smuggling and everything, it's like if we were in servitude.
You know, I got to tell you, I'm glad you said slavery, Armando, because lately I've been talking about that. The last time we imported human beings in this country was in the early 1800s and the late 1700s from Africa to do work for free. What the Democrats are doing with the open border is basically importing cheap labor, which is unfair to the immigrants that come undocumented because the government has a plan to provide cheap labor in this country. They keep the border open. The indigenous people of the Americas come over. They know they're never going to get documentation. So there are illegal aliens in perpetuity in this country. That to me is the most racist act that I've seen recently. And it's, and the Democrats will not address it. You're absolutely correct. And as an ancillary victim of this are the children that you talk about, because now the cartels know that it is an open border. You can smuggle in cheap labor. So why not smuggle in drugs? And by the way, children for sex trafficking. Oh, yeah. The NPR came out with a poll the other day saying, most right wingers believe that fentanyl is being brought in by illegal aliens. Well, we know that's not true. Most illegal aliens are carrying babies, not drugs. But let me tell you who is carrying the fentanyl. It's the drug cartels, and they're very organized, and they smuggle right in along with the illegal aliens that want to come to work. So this is a racist policy. Let's not try to sugarcoat it. Let's call it for what it is. And I'm glad you nailed it on the head today, Armando.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's easier to smuggle
Yeah,
when there's a bigger flow.
of course.
I mean, if there's a flood at the border, then everyone is so preoccupied. The Border Patrol is overworked. They're stretched thin. We have 87,000 new IRS agents thanks to
Yeah.
Joe Biden. How about putting some people and get some Border Patrol agents down there to stop this? This is affecting people's lives, not just the slavery, the human smuggling, but all the people that become addicted to fentanyl or die.
Yeah.
And it is going unchecked. It's past 2 million people now since Biden has come into office. And it is any wonder. I wish you, Armando, and others would, if Beto O'Rourke comes to your town, is ask him why, of all the Hispanics, those along the border are the ones that are moving fastest to the Republican Party. Ask him why that is the case if he thinks that borders don't work and that the border is secure. Ask him to his face why that's happening.
Armando, when we watch the news, as somebody that you live over there, I mean, we watch the news and we just can't, whatever we see on the short videos that the news put and whatever they want to give us to believe what is the situation in the border. I wanted you to give us the the spectrum of what is going on in reality that is versus what we see on the news.
Okay, the sad reality of the circumstances is that in fact we do have a border crisis. We do have, like I mentioned before, there is sex trafficking, prostitution. The children are the ones that are paying. I can identify because I work on a daily basis. To me, what saddens me the most is the little boys, the little girls that are, it is very inhumane for them to bring in these conditions. Many people die, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, that a lot of people don't make it, and they don't make it because of the dehydration and everything else that comes along the ways, So people say, well, because the Democrats say, oh no, it's because it's inhumane. You're being racist if you don't allow them to come in. No, that's not it at all. The My main concern is to preserve life and to serve our citizens as well. And they're not thinking about how many lives are lost on a daily basis because of their smuggling, because they're charging, and this is just my opinion, correct? Roughly about 7,000 to $10,000 a head. So can you multiply that times, let's per se, easily thousands of people? How much money are they making? They're making a killing with that money.
Yeah, and let me
To
just say
me,
something else, because, Armando. People still wonder why Donald Trump was so popular along the border. Because this is a little bit long-winded, Bobby, but you'll understand. The failed policies of exporting manufacturing jobs to China over the decades has resulted in a depletion of manufacturing jobs and a diminution of the middle class in America. And when Donald Trump became president and he stood up for the middle class and he fought for middle class jobs and for bringing manufacturing back. And remember when automobile manufacturers were going to move to Mexico and to China and to Europe, Trump threatened them and brought them back. People depended on those jobs, appreciated what Donald Trump was doing. So, the what the Democrats are doing with this open border is feeding the cheap labor demand in this country to try to compete with the cheap labor of China, rather than sealing the border, giving jobs to American citizens, and raising the middle class. That's all that's going on. I mean, the Democrats, by their open border policies, and Joe Biden in the administration, because he can control the border. That's his job. The executive branch controls the Department of Homeland Security. He can add more CBP agents. He can increase the number of federal agents and federal court magistrates that hear the hearings on these catch and release. He doesn't do any of that. Why? Because he has to continue to supply the cheap labor demand in this country. And again, as Armando said, to me, bringing people in that are going to be in perpetuity in this country at a sub level, because they're never going to be citizens, they're never going to be legal residents, they're never going to have the rights that you and I have. That to me is racist.
Yeah. Armando, what is the impact that this border crisis has been having in Maverick County in terms of economy and hospitals and education, schools, everything?
well, again, this is just going to be my opinion, and they're depleting our resources. I feel that the federal government is the one that should be paying everything, not the taxpayers. I mean, we work as it is. We work very hard. We have very hardworking people, and I don't feel that it is right for the citizens to pay for the hospital bills, for the taxes, for everything for the coming of the immigrants. The ones that are making the killing and the profit are the drug cartels. Why should a U.S. citizen be held responsible? If the government wants them to come, then they should be held responsible for the bill as well. And
Well,
it's not.
what's
It's coming
Yeah.
from, it's coming from our pockets.
well, what's funny is that you say the federal government ought to be paying for this and not the taxpayers. But remember that the
Yeah.
taxpayers of the United States are the funding source for the
Yeah. They're
federal
the ones.
government. The federal
Yeah.
government doesn't have a money tree in the backyard down the street at the Treasury Department, Armando. You and I, every April, pay taxes to the federal government to do their job, to enforce our laws passed by Congress with respect to the border. And that's why I say Mr. Biden is sitting at the White House with his arms crossed. He, as the head of the executive branch, can do something about the border tomorrow, but he decides not to. But here's the issue, and you're absolutely correct. The economic pain that we have to bear in Texas for supporting undocumented aliens, illegal aliens, ought to be shared by people in Washington, D.C., in New York State, in Massachusetts, in Washington State, in Idaho, in even here in Montana. I mean, this is not fair for Texas taxpayers, property taxpayers, elderly people to be supporting the irresponsibility of the federal government. We're sick and tired of it, Armando.
Yeah,
We
in
are.
Orlando though, but you send 1,000 to New York or Washington D.C., and all of a sudden it's a federal emergency.
Yeah.
That's what they're
Right.
saying. They can't even take 1,000 of them.
I
It's a
thought,
federal
hey,
emergency.
I think what the governor did is brilliant, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's great stuff for sure.
Okay,
No,
Armando,
but there-
call to action. Tell us how we can support you, how people in Maverick County, Eagle Pass can support you, where they can find you. How do you doing this? Elections days around the corner, few months away from that.
Yeah, election's gonna be October 24 to November 4, early voting, and then November 8, the big day. People are ready. We have great support. We honestly do. I feel very confident, very very happy, very eager and excited because the people are the ones that they want to change. They're tired. They're tired of the lies. They're tired of living paycheck to paycheck. It's very difficult. It's very 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 difficult. People are tired. They've grown tired of the lies, and there's no resolutions. There's no quick fixes. This can't be resolved. It needs to be stopped.
Well, Armando's absolutely correct, and our poll reveals that. Again,
Hmm.
most Texans in Texas believe that the Democratic Party is the party of handouts. We're handing out money, services, resources, education, medical services, emergency medical service to undocumented aliens that didn't come in here the right way. And what's happening, and Armando's correct, is that we're killing the vision of joining the middle class by hardworking South Texans who have to bear the burden through property taxes of providing the services. Remember, the federal government does not support Texas schools. The federal government does not pay for EMS and EMTs and the county local sheriff. And so it's time that the Biden administration step up, protect the border, and relieve the pressure on Texans.
Amen.
Yeah, that's
Well,
great.
All
Armando,
right,
thank you
Armando. Well,
so
we want to
much.
thank you for being with you. We want to wish you the best of luck. As you know, TLC is in the process of printing up a bunch of yard signs for you guys. We'll get them delivered down to you. We're proud of you and the 7 other Hispanic Republicans that have decided to take a leadership role in Maverick County and put your name on the ballot. We wish you well and Godspeed, and we know that you're going to succeed in November.
Thank you. We greatly appreciate it. We greatly appreciate every support, everything that we can get. Again, my name is Armando Rosales. My email address is armandorosales77 at gmail.com. Contact number is 830-513-8623. And you guys can contact me through there. If you guys need anything or anything, we can email, call, text. I'm available.
Armando, thank you
Great.
so much for your time, and thank you so much for, making the difference over there in Maverick County.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me, and it has been a pleasure. Thank you very much, and you take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Well,
All
Orlando,
right.
you know, I
Well,
mean, it's you know exactly what is going on over there because, as you said, you have a property over there, and it's the impact is crazy. What is going on in the border crisis?
Andrea, you know that you and I have been doing this show for more than 2.5 years, and I've been talking about the crises down on the border way before it became popular in the media.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We are, you know, again, let me remind people in 1976, I served at Laughlin Air Force Base in Valverde County, which is a border county in Del Rio, Texas. We had illegal immigration, but there was mostly Mexican men coming across the border, coming to work. They weren't importing drugs at the time. It was a trickle, and most of them went back to their families. Uh, Today, it's completely different. Today, it is an unmitigated disaster. It's Haitians, it's Cubans, it's Chinese, it's Middle Eastern, it's Salvadorans, it's Guatemaltecos, it's Mexicans, it's Nicaraguenses. It's the entire world.
Yeah.
Why? Because the entire world wants to come to the greatest country in America. And
Hmm.
guess what? The memo is out. This
Hmm. That's right.
administration, this Congress does nothing about our border. In a country without borders, even though this administration is fueling cheap labor in the country, will not last long without borders. No country can last without borders. And they better wrap their arms around it pretty soon. The American people need to wake up and take action.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, if you don't stand as a country and promote yourself as a country, you'll fold. And the people who come here the legal way, they're not only coming for economic opportunity and freedom, but this vision of America. This is anyone I talk to that's come the legal way or who's a first, generation
Hmm.
of parents who have come over. They say the same thing. They came over to pursue the American dream. And when one of the things that Orlando nailed it when he called this a racist policy is that what Biden and the Democrats are doing through this flood is creating this millions of people who are destined to end up in the barrio and not pursue the American dream. They just there's no plan for them. They're not here legally, and so they're always going to be that other segment of society when we should be enforcing the proper channels so we can welcome people in so they can truly become Americans.
Yeah.
I love how you said that, Bobby, because in America, you know, I just can't. We can't as Americans support the other segment of society. We've always been a country that wants to move people forward.
Hmm.
We try to help those that are in poverty in this country, but we want to help our own, the people that came here legally. And you're absolutely right. Not only is it racist to the people that come here illegally because they will be the other society, right?
Hmm.
But it's racist to the taxpayers of South Texas and all of Texas because the American dream for them is being killed because there's no economic opportunity for them because they can't compete with the cheap illegal labor. The school quality, the quality of education in those counties is falling rapidly.
Hmm.
Even in Harris County, Houston, the independent school district is flooded with undocumented aliens. That drags down the educational opportunities for the other kids, the legal kids, and we can't keep up. With the country has to produce patriots to survive, and by letting in millions and millions and millions of illegal aliens who will never become part and parcel of the fabric of this society, either as legal residents or as U.S. citizens, is going to kill this country.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and just I mean, gosh, that's great stuff,
Hmm.
and it also and it goes back to again. I wish the Democrats would be taken to task and Beto, especially Robert Francis O'Rourke, on this change that we are seeing, undeniable change. TLC was out there, Orlando leading it in the field with this poll and seeing the results that the Hispanics are sick of the Democrats. But where is it most on fire? It's in the border. We
Yes.
see it in Fort Bend County, Harris County, Bexar County, sure. But along the border is where it is spreading. So the people that are impacted the most by illegal immigration are the ones that are turning Republican.
Correct. And
Well, I
I
hope.
was as Armando was
I
saying. I
was just
mean,
gonna
what
say,
what we're seeing on the news is nothing what we really
Yeah.
facing over there,
Right.
because he was talking about uh, traffic and drugs. Those are the problems, and you know, the rest of the country are not realizing that. There's like, oh, but poor immigrants, they're being racist. No, the problem is the crime that they're facing over there, and of course we're getting also
Right.
that problem.
Right. And
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't
you have
matter.
to.
It yeah.
No, I was going to say you have to understand the absurdity of the American media. They will rush to the border, Bobby, and portray CBP as racist, whipping immigrants. That's what the national media comes to cover. What they don't cover is that CBP and our border patrol agents are working with people like Armando are actually doing nothing but saving lives in the Chihuahua desert,
That's right.
because that's why people are dying. There's no water, there's rattlesnakes, there's dehydration. It's 125 degrees during the day. I mean, they don't cover that. They say that America's racist because people are dying in the desert. Well, of course they're dying in the desert.
Right.
There's not enough CBP agents to save them. There's not enough helicopters. There's not enough ambulances. I mean, they're the ones that control the flow of illegal aliens in this country, the Biden administration. So they can stop it tomorrow. But the
Right.
media goes out there and covers how racist DPS is, how racist the National Guard is, how racist our Customs and Border Patrol agents are, and how racist our sheriffs are for even bringing it up. Are these people crazy? I'm glad that the governor is spreading the pain across America.
Me too. And it just shows the hypocrisy and the insanity of the left, because on the one hand, as Orlando said, they try and paint everything as a racist issue, right? The cops are racist, border patrol's racist, on and on. And then on the flip side though, any efforts to bring people into that great American melting pot to become Americans, the left is against. They don't want
Absolutely.
any part of that. They want to keep people divided and then get upset if people are divided. It's just nonsense.
Yeah.
And Bobby, we know that's true because our poll indicated when we asked a very important
Yeah.
question in our poll to Hispanics, only Hispanics in Texas, how do you identify yourself to your family and friends? And an overwhelming majority of them said Americans, and their second choice was Texans. They are not Latinx. They don't want to be divided by gender, by ethnicity, by anything else. Our Hispanic community in Texas are Texans. They're part of the Texas history. They're Americans. They're part of the American history. And for the Democrats to continue to divide us is unacceptable. They tried it with the word Latinx. That failed. We all know Andrea's a Latinx, but I'm not.
I'm Colombiana,
There you
living in Texas, and I love this country.
she's you're no Latinx.
No Latinx, no, nothing. The only ex that I have is my ex-husband. That's the only ex that I
That's the
have.
Latin X, right? There
The
is
only
one.
X.
There is one out there, but yeah, Orlando. I mean, so much good information from the TLC poll, but that question is by far my favorite because it cuts into the whole idea of Hispanics coming here, working hard, wanting to be Americans.
Yeah.
It's just
That's it.
great. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and Bobby, actually, we took that information. We took all the information in our massive poll. By the way, a poll like this has never been conducted in Texas. We used the census data, we used the consumer file, and we used the voter files to figure out where was the best opportunities for conservative growth in the state of Texas among Hispanics. It led us to several regions in Texas: South Texas and the RGV, the suburbs and the exurbs around major cities, and the rural areas of West Texas. And that's where we conducted our poll. And I'm telling you, the pride among Hispanics to be considered nothing more than Americans and Texans is high. So I love it when the Democrats tried to divide us and come up with these creative names like Latinx, for God's sake.
Yeah. And the other party is the one that is flipping South Texas and is flipping many counties to be red. So
Yes.
they're doing a favor.
Right, and again, now that we see, and I've seen one of my favorite things about being involved with TLC and Leadership Latino was going down and you're talking to these activists and these young candidates and future candidates, And now we've seen that generational shift where, as all of us know, I mean, Hispanics, it's conservative values, and it always has been. But there was something that made them vote Democrat. And now that's changing. And once that even spreads more, then we're talking about a generational shift in the Hispanic community in Texas. And that's got to have driving the Democrats
Well,
crazy.
and I can tell you, I'm glad you brought that up, Bobby, because historically in Texas, yes, Hispanics and particularly Mexican Americans have sided with the Democratic Party and stood with the Democratic Party. Um, Partly, and we don't want to go too far into it, but it does have to do with the affiliation with the African American community. But what we're realizing in the Hispanic community is, the Hispanic community is different. It has never suffered the one sort of singular trauma that has driven the African American community into the arms of the Democrats. Why, I don't know, because Bobby, as you know, the Republican Party was founded in Wisconsin for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was for the elimination of slavery in this country.
Right.
And the Republican Party has a storied history of saving civil rights legislation, the voting rights legislation, of being the Republican was the only lone dissent in Percy versus Ferguson, which was the Supreme Court case that said, yeah, separate but equal was acceptable. It was a Republican that stood up against it. It was a Republican president that signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And so I always say this, Bobby, we have good data. We're moving in the right direction in Texas, but sometimes the Republicans have a unique way of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And
That's
so we've
right.
got to execute as a party. And I'm saying this, Bobby, you're chairman of one of the largest counties, Republican Party counties in Texas, Fort Bend County. We've got to work harder. We have to get out there. We've sat on our laurels, rested on our laurels, right? We were in charge of the state of Texas for 25 years. Every statewide elected official, Fort Bend County, Harris County, Montgomery County, were all Republicans. Well, we got a wake up slap in 2018. And so now we better wake up and we better execute. And it's like a football team. It's 4th and 9, and there's 2 seconds left on the clock. We've got to execute. And so Republicans need to execute. They need to work with organizations like TLC to make sure that we deliver a good message to the Latino community that is about economic prosperity, opportunity, about families, about values, about country, about patriotism, because that's what Hispanics in this country want to hear.
Amen.
Yep. That's great. That's great stuff.
All right, Orlando. Well, we're looking forward to see you next week here at the studio. Bobby, I'm gonna miss you.
Well, he's going to leave his keys out for me.
Oh,
I'm gonna-
oh,
I'm
yeah,
gonna-
that's
I'm gonna-
right. That's right.
Let me just make one editorial note. I am looking forward to being back in the studio on Wednesday, but it's all dependent because we know our U.S. Department of Transportation is doing an excellent job of running the airline industry. I think about half the
I may
flights
be
either
here.
Oh, you
canceled or
maybe,
delayed.
yeah.
So I may not make it back, but we can think.
Yeah, you're
We can
right.
think.
You're right. We
We can
know. We
think.
know every time that you travel to Montana, something happening with the
We can.
airplane.
We can. We can thank our Secretary of Transportation and the
That's
Biden.
right. He
Yeah.
does love trains and planes, though. That makes
Yeah,
him
That's
of
right.
qualified.
course.
See you
Okay, Orlando.
guys.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
and we're looking to see you here anyway. It doesn't matter, studio or the studio, but Houston. Houston miss you.
That's right. Good show today. It was
Good
fun.
show. I mean,
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I like people like Armando, very young,
Yep.
with no political background, just a desire to serve and desire to step on and say enough is enough, and we need to do something for my community.
Right, and it's great seeing these people with these backgrounds, and it just kind of leads into public service. Someone
Yeah.
that's drawn into helping people, either medically or law enforcement, and all of a sudden he's out there running for office. It's the best kind of folks.
Yes, and we're looking to see more of your candidates in Fort Bend County here at
That's
TLC.
right. Yep. Yeah, we have a special guest next week, Judge Chris Morales. He's running for re-election. He was one of the few that got elected in 2018, so we're hoping to keep him. We're planning to keep him on the bench. He's a great guy. and we'll have them on next week.
Okay. Well, great, Bobby. Thank you so much. And
Thanks.
thank you, everybody, for being with us. Remember to stay tuned next Wednesday, every Wednesday at 11 in the morning, TLC Live. And please log in our webpage, TexasLatinoConservatives.com, TexasLatinoConservatives.com. We have the list of the events coming up. We have information about education, health, and all the issues that we work in TLC. And also become a member. It's only $35 a year, and you help us to help. Y nos vemos el próximo miércoles. Chao, chao.